recording in a minute, and then I'll try and do an introduction. Okay. Welcome to the Datacloud Spotlight. Now, on this channel recently, we've been talking a lot about sustainability, but today we're going to move the focus to something without which any sustainability goals in our industry just aren't going to happen, and that's talent and ensuring we've got a steady flow of young talent who want to come and work in the data center industry. And that's why we've launched the Talent in Tech initiative at this year's Datacloud Global Congress. And to tell us more about it, we've got somebody. That's why we've launched the Talent in Tech initiative at this year's Datacloud Global Congress. And to talk about it, we've got somebody very special with us. That's Susanna Kass, who's Data Center Advisor to the UN Sustainable Development Goal Programme, co-founder at InfoPrime, and Energy Fellow and Graduate Management Board Member at Stanford University. And she's also the architect behind the Talent in Tech programme at the event this year. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Susanna.
Thank you, Bill, for having me. And thank you, everyone, for listening to our program today.
Great. So first up, do you want to tell us what some of the industry-wide young talent initiatives are in data infrastructure at the moment? And also, do you want to give a bit more detail on the Talent in Tech program that we're running?
Yes. Let's start with that, Bill. In my role as a data center advisor to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal Program, going on a decade now, I engaged with private sector leadership, such as Google, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Facebook, Equinix, and many other premier data center providers, academic researcher, which I'm one of them, and as a contributor, such as the IPCC or the Clean Energy for America. And we also engage with the public institutions who are all the members state, Bill, that have signed the Paris Accord. We jointly promote sustainable energy within the international data center sector. And I don't think I need to mention that because most of you all are pretty familiar with the premier pioneer who I'm very grateful that they have to make their own carbon neutrality or carbon negative pledge. My focus is a little bit more narrow now, really focusing on the talent and also some of the design I have done relating to net zero, which sums up about 3.8 gigawatt across 17 countries. So in my limited experience in working in the field of sustainability and a data center, and I've been in it for 30 years, Bill, I come across the United Nations Association of the USA. It is a movement of Americans dedicated to support the United Nations program. Currently now there's about 20,000 members, Bill, and 60% of them are under the age of 26, which is the target audience to answer your question. And there are more than 200 chapters across the entire country. So these members are united. They are very passionate in their commitment, more motivated from their own feel that they believe in making a change in the world and making climate positive results. So they don't belong to a company or they don't belong to a school. They genuinely come together in their own commitment in a global engagement. And the belief is to play a part for him or her in the United Nations mission to achieving the Sustainable Development Goal. So I would say that is probably one of the programs that I'm aware of that is quite good. But as you can tell, it's still a little bit limiting. What I feel very excited about mentioning to the audience today is the members joining this program is dedicated in the educating, inspiring, and mobilizing other peers across the nation to support the principle and the vital work of the United Nations. So the UNA USA is the chapter and a program founded by the United Nations Foundation, and I have the privilege to work with many young talent, and hence it actually inspired me that we need to come up with more education and more entryway into the data center. Now, across the data center sector, Bill, there are also organizations having their own working group that have scholarships for young talent so they can complete their education. I think that's fantastic. And there are definitely individual companies, many of them I mentioned, and many of them I may not have mentioned, But it doesn't matter because individual company also have their own individual program in the recruiting process to attract younger talent into their company.
Okay, so looking at your story, you mentioned you've been in our industry for going on 30 years now. What made you choose it? And from that, why would you tell somebody else to choose it?
Yes, Bill. I am not as strategic as I like to claim. I actually fell into the data center industry. I'm a computer scientist and it's still in my heart. I like programming. That's why these days are the most exciting time for me because we start talking about generative AI. And I am a computer scientist. I like to interact with the ChatGPT or other AI interfaces. And it just feels like the first day as a computer science graduate. So as I graduated from my computer science degree before I got my MBA, I was very focused on computing, software development, become software analyst, data analyst, scientist analyst. And those are all my instruments and tools for people I work with. And then I believe the industry in the last, I would say, 2 decades or so have fortified itself into data center, cloud computing, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. And we become to actually make note of that. Thanks for many of the pioneers like AWS in terms of leading the headway that they have done. Then I personally focus on sustainability for data center and net zero, which means net zero energy, net zero emission, net zero waste, and also net zero using water and also reusing the waste as a new value creation for the data center industry. But we didn't really have data center sector to start 30 years ago, Bill. I think it was more like a room packed with a lot of computer server that every company have their own, and hence the migration to cloud because it's a lot more efficient and a lot more metrics-wise performance gained in terms of using resources. So I'm really, really grateful for many of the pioneers that come before me, and I'm part of the journey that we traveled into this decade today.
That's a really good point, because when you go back even 10 or 20 years, there wasn't really a definitive data center sector that there is now. So it's probably easier to answer the question now as to why you would choose our industry today than you may have done 20 years ago. So kind of comparing it to the reasons you say you fell into it, what are the main reasons you think now there is a definitive data center industry that you can sell to someone? Why should a young person who's leaving uni go and work there and not somewhere else?
Now is actually the most opportune time, Bill, for the young talent that are thinking about what they like to do. This is a high growth sector. It's at a run rate of 20 billion. And if you think about all of us experience during the lockdown, it could not have happened if we don't have shared resources. If everybody still have their own IT server, their networking inside their own data room or IT lab, we would not have survived in terms of being able to function as a society or be able to pivot so quickly in terms of getting news and getting health services, be able to shop, be able to entertain ourselves. It was only made possible because of the cloud. So now is a wonderful opportunity for the young talent to come into our sector to take it to the next level. We did that because we have to quickly pivot ourselves and adapt very quickly across the entire global world. But now the lockdown is behind us. We all stay healthy. And this is the wonderful time for us to innovate. And we cannot innovate without young talent bringing their passion, bringing their mind, bringing their own ideas to empower them to be an active participant, to foster a greater global impact, to drive digital transformation, to complete this decade. And I don't even need to think about the next 3 decades because I may not be around, but let's enjoy what we have now and start innovating today because we have such great platform for us to leverage.
So is there a shortage of young talent in the industry right now?
Yes, there is, Bill. Our average age group for that, I wish to cite the number that I share with you with the UN program that is average less than 26. I think not. So that's why we have a call to action. And that's why I'm very grateful to BroadGroup to actually start now, be proactive. Not surprising for me, because oftentimes you see where the puck is going to be, using a analogy. We see where the puck is going to be, and it's going to be led by a new team of talent. But the people who are currently in charge, it's not like they are not performing. They still are very needed to make the change, to incorporate these new voices and be able to empower them, be able to train them, so we can all work together and have equal voices going forward as innovator.
I mean, it's definitely not one or the other. You need to have people with experience and you need to have fresh blood. So how we're talking about the Talent in Tech program, you've mentioned some other programs you're working in as well. And you've also mentioned individual initiatives by specific companies looking to bring people into their employee base. So in general, combining all these things, how is the industry addressing this issue of having an aging workforce? And how do you rate the progress so far?
I like to think about this, Bill, that we all can travel faster if we do it ourselves. But collectively, if we work together, which is the focus of this initiative led by the BroadGroup, we all can go farther. It reminds me of the experience working in sustainability, that of course we can actually manage our own fans in terms of figuring out how we do clean energy for both prime and backup power. But there's a lot more to it. We need to think about the social elements of one individual data center or a fleet of them owned by one company, that we all need to work together beyond our own fence in the boundary, that we can actually collaborate to provide the social benefits and to the community, to the citizens, and do good to the planet. Then collectively, we can rise up the gross national product index, as well as our own individual company profit, and everybody that sits on our platform, that is relying on us to do the job. Hence, I think it's more importantly that the individual companies should absolutely continue to do their own talent program in their recruiting process. The working group, absolutely, we need them continue to go forward. But the linkages, the intersectionality is actually where we can make new innovation and can go make it farther. And we weave it as a collage that we can make impactful results today. Not wait till next generation, not wait for one company to be successful and then we learn from that company. But we need to all come together collectively, and hence it's wonderful for BroadGroup to bring the Talent in Tech initiative across the entire sector on a global scale.
Okay, so say you're a young person in the data center industry or looking to get into it. How can you get involved with an industry like Talent in Tech? What's the concrete steps somebody can take to boost their career like this?
Yes. So first of all, I would say do some thinking on your own. Identify what your passion is, what makes sense to you, what motivates you, what inspires you. So you actually do a self-inventory in terms of identifying what makes you tick, what gets you up, what gets you excited. And then I would say we have published, Bill, maybe you can share that with the audience, a link for the program itself, for the Talent in Tech. Then get involved. We listed out the eligibility and the requirement, because they're all young talents, so most of them are in some kind of academic pursuit. We like you to keep yourself in good standing, so don't get on the probation status. We like you to focus on your job number one first, which is your academic pursuit. And if you're not on the academic probation list, then by default, you're already 50% there. So we'd love to hear from you. we'd like you to make a statement about why attending the BroadGroup event around the world, which there are many of them very exciting. I think in a couple of weeks, a few of us are going to be meeting in Monaco. Then we're going to come to Austin. Then we're going to be in Kenya. So on and on about the different event that BroadGroup brought to us in the event. So thank you for doing so. Identify which one is actually important to you. We will then facilitate a workshop for you to come in, all expense paid for, including a customized program for you. I will personally greet you. And in addition to myself, the BroadGroup team and many of the sponsors in this program will spend some quality time with you on a one-on-one and also as a group setting. So you also get to meet other young talent. And we just going to have a dialogue and have a facilitated workshop. So you get a rich experience about that. But it all started with you on identifying what is most important to you. And in the link that Bill will share with you, I suggested a template to kind of guide your thinking, not to constrain about what you're going to share, but you just don't have to start with a blank piece of paper, so to speak.
Well, that's a lot to take advantage of. And we really want to see as many people getting involved in this as possible. Like we say, whether it's in Monaco, whether it's in the USA, whether it's in Nairobi in September, where we'll be running this as well. So thank you very much, Susanna, for sharing all that information with us about the program. And you're going to be in Monaco personally, that's true?
I am. And in closing, Bill, if I may say, I really want to thank the BroadGroup because they take a pioneer role as a leadership role in sponsoring 20 new talent delegate paths at the Monaco event. So I would say absolutely take advantage of that. It's an amazing agenda with global leaders that will be attending, and I will be leading the workshop, and there'll be many talent. And just to kick it off as a premiere to the program for the official launch, BroadGroup say, hey, I'm signing up. Let me offer 20 talent paths. So if you're listening, I will absolutely go in and submit your application. We welcome you to actually come into this program, and we want to make it easier for you, and we want to hear from you. So I hope we see you all there. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, Susanna. It's great to have you joining us. And yeah, we want to see you all there. There's 20 passes. They're free. Go and get them. Okay, thanks. We'll see you all in Monaco. And thank you again, Susanna.
Very welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay.